What's up, guys? My name is Justin. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are back on Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, back in the championship series. We are going to be doing events number 4 and 5 today. A couple more slow car races. This is the lowest least challenge race. It's going to be 6 other drivers, 3-lap race to Coastal Parklands, and then we are going to go to event number 5, which is a race knockout. I think it's 3 races, I guess must be, but they're only 1 lap each around National Forest, so shouldn't take too terribly long, but we'll hope that they go smoothly. Lowest least up first, and this one we'll take a yellow one. It's a nice bright color to see from far away since I'm going blind. So glad to be here. 4th and 5th events, 2nd episode on the championship series now. Hopefully everybody enjoyed a couple weeks ago. Events 1, 2, and 3. Definitely in full swing here for this. Recording my first time after I got back from Ohio, so it might take me a lap or so to get back used to the game, but it should be fine. Should rock and roll. Here we go. 3-lap race, so it should be pretty straightforward. This car will be nearly flat around this track. Even in this reverse direction, the car should be pretty much flat most of the lap, so shouldn't take too terribly long, probably about 5 or 6 minute race. We'll see how long it takes. If it does take a super short amount of time, and the next championship is short, we might do another event. We'll see. It's not the plan. We can always change the plan because I'm in charge. Alright, so we got into the lead in the first 30 seconds, first couple corners. Again, I love this car. I love the Opal and the Vauxhall as well, which we'll get to see next tournament out. I love them because they're super easy to drive quickly. My car carries a lot of momentum, handles very, very well. I've always heard, basically my entire life since this game, that this car handles as well just about as any car in the world, certainly for this time era. Lotus builds some unbelievable handling machines. Unfortunately, it's not really a car that you want to own from what I've heard. It's a wonderful car to drive and experience, but never have and call yours. So, whether or not that's accurate, I'm not sure, but I would never own this car. It's just a car that I have nostalgia for, obviously, because of this game. So, also, I did finally decide what I'm going to play after this game concludes. We are a ways away from that yet, probably about at least another 10 episodes, maybe more, depending exactly how it shakes out. 10, maybe 15 episodes left to go if we keep clicking off a good amount of events in each of these. But I did decide what I'm going to play next. I'm not going to reveal it quite yet, but you'll see that obviously when we get to the end of this tree, when we finish the 30th and 31st events, and then have the bonus event for both trees, which I believe is the 550 Marquetta challenge, if I remember. Maybe it's no, that was the Hot Pursuit 2 one. Maybe it's the 360 challenge. Regardless, I decided what's going to be coming next to kind of replace this on the channel, because this will get done before NASCAR Dirt Daytona concludes. So anyways, just at 2 minutes here, if I keep clicking the up arrow when I'm trying to turn, it'll be about 2 minute lap, maybe a little bit slower on the flyer, but roughly 2 minutes, so it's going to be about, again, a 6, maybe 6.5 minute race. So first lap done, 2 laps to go. Apparently that was a clean lap, even though I did hit a wall. Didn't hit any other cars though, so maybe that's the qualifier for that. Just about maxed the car out, not quite. Only one car has kind of kept up with us here, about 2.6 seconds. Everybody else 5 or 6 back. It's Wayne. Again, these are all equal cars, so I don't really know what the distinction is here between Wayne keeping up and everybody else kind of falling back about 7 seconds. But again, we are flat basically this entire lap. Not quite. There are a couple corners where that's not the case, but almost the whole lap we're flat. So nice and easy and straightforward. Makes it pretty easy to drive. Super fun. Again, talking about for a whole lap, this car is an unbelievable handling car. Very enjoyable. Actually, on the shortcut there is Wayne making up a bunch of ground. Maybe about a second or a second and a half there. And then loses some of this momentum coming up this next straightaway. So down to about 2 seconds is the gap. Gotta be mindful down the last lap when it comes down to a 1v1 battle. Doesn't seem like in the game, now that I'm trying this out a little bit, that the dirt and grass and stuff really affects your speed. Doesn't seem that way. Just about maxed out the revs here in 5th gear. Top speed for this car only like 140 in real life or something. In this game it's listed at 125. But super fast car for the era, certainly, especially with the weight. That's the only real lift point here. We might have to lift in this first corner as well, but not too terribly much. Not like you do after the long straight coming the other direction. See if we can hold this flat. We can indeed, easily. So really only one lift point on this whole lap, which is crazy. Be right at about 2:03 here. And a little bit slower. The start-finish line's a little further down than the other direction, I guess, to give us starting room on the grid. Wayne fell to about 6 seconds back there, is now catching back up for some reason. Everybody else is 14 plus back. So I thought these cars were supposed to be identical, but those are massive gaps between the field. Wayne really the only one keeping up with a little bit of catch-up assistance. Everybody else kind of 12 seconds back. But those gaps are fluctuating quite a lot, so maybe it's just a bug in the timing. Regardless, keep chugging along. Lap, or about 3/4 of a lap, excuse me, to go. So yeah, I see some cars are still just crossing the finish line now, like 40 seconds behind, even though they're all supposed to be equal. Just a single race here, so no tournaments, nothing. That'll be in the next event. Will be a tournament. We'll take a different car. We'll probably take the Opel Speedster like we usually do. Car I really like. Technically, mechanically identical to the VX220, but obviously the Opel's left-hand drive. If I was going to import one, that's the one I'd get. But again, as much as I love the car and have nostalgia for it from this game, probably wouldn't want to ever own one. Basically the same as this Lotus Elise, a little bit different powertrain, but co-developed by all those manufacturers to kind of make the car cheaper. Of course, this Gen 2 Elise was notable for having a little bit more safety regulations and stuff when it came out in about 2000. Kind of, like I said, co-developed with General Motors to make it a little bit cheaper to build for Lotus, who was struggling a little bit financially at the time, which is why the Vauxhall VX220 and the Opel Speedster exist. To go along with that, obviously, this car is kind of a follow-up in theory to the original Elise, which was a great car. But then this car itself was killed off, at least in the United States. There is a Gen 3, but not available in the United States because of, again, safety and crash regulation. Nice big safety lift there on turn in to make sure we can nail this last corner. It's only going to be about a 5-second margin of victory, but the field very spread, no real challenge. A little bit slower on this lap, but we do take a victory, so it's good to know, good to start.
Congratulations! You have just won the Lotus Elise Challenge race.
Yes, we did.
You've unlocked Coastal Parklands 2. You've set a new record for this track.
It's kind of interesting that the like post-race voiceover is from, as far as I can tell, I didn't really listen that closely until now, I guess, but it's from 2 different voices. It's kind of interesting. We'll go with the Opel Speedster again. We'll go with this weird kind of gray light blue thing. Classic handling I know isn't the hardcore version. I've just thought about this recently, but it's what I've always driven on, so we're going to go with it. All right, so just 1 lap, but obviously 3 races, 1 lap apiece. Probably won't take too terribly long, but obviously we got to be diligent and make sure we get the job done. Can't have any mistakes or anything weird happen. So we'll go to the leads here on this first lap in a shortcut. Hopefully we don't get T-boned here. We do not, but it is relatively close. Again, this car not that fast, slightly faster than the Lotus, but still all about handling. So most of this lap's going to be flat, which is actually good. Make it nice and easy. Get some good air time for the bonus points, not make any mistakes, don't have to worry about traffic or anything at this stage, I don't think. I think these are all just championship races. We won't have to worry about that. If we do, I don't recall exactly until later. I usually would play through the Hot Pursuit tree when I was a kid, and then kind of get bored of this tree. Never really go back to it and worry about it, so. Huge error there. See if we can get some more out of this jump. Looks like there's 1 of each in this challenge, this race session thing, so. Hopefully another 300 here. 350 again, we'll take that. Apparently this is a prism. We learned that the last couple episodes. I guess I'd never thought about it. Just always familiar with the wildfire that's up here. Which doesn't really seem like a wildfire considering it's like on someone's home or cabin or something, which is a pretty interesting scenario that the game developers rid into this. So. Field definitely not losing that much time. Still close battle here with just a couple corners to go. Probably about 45 seconds left this lap. The AI is still pretty close behind. 2 of them taking the long way, though. That should secure us a win here in this first event. Come through here, 3rd to last corner. Second to last corner, all we got to make sure here is that we don't hit the pole on turn in and that we don't hit the bridge. should be plenty safe. Nice little confidence lift there to make sure the car's underneath us, but it's going to be about a 4-second margin of victory.
You've qualified for the next round of knockout competition.
So 3 races here should take about 8 minutes, so we'll probably do another event after this. It's only been about 13 minutes since I started recording, give or take. Just looking at my phone real quick for the time. So if these both go well really quick, then we will do the next event after this as well. Start out first, give that nice little bonus. Get the lead nice and early. So we can run away. Again, aim for this jump, be nice and safe. There's top speed, same place we got in the previous lap. Again, we'll aim for a 350 jump here. Not sure if we'll get it again, but that's the goal, obviously. Good corner there. 2-second lead over the Elise, actually. A little bit surprising. Perhaps it's a preferable car here, not exactly sure, but I'm preferencing this car just as kind of a alternative to the Elise that everybody loves, but not many people even know this car exists in the United States, so I guess technically it doesn't. It's not 25 years old yet, but if I was going to get one of these 3, it would be this one. But again, not kind of my, really kind of my car, not really in the plans, so I guess I'll just stick with my Camaro tree. I have contemplated, well, I got time to talk here and tell stories. I know that's a pretty popular thing to do while you're racing. Contemplate buying a C5 Corvette. I've always loved the platform, not just because of this game, but for speed, high stakes as well. Kind of the car, that game and this game, kind of what I initially grew up on. And just a good car. Obviously, it's 90s GM. But super fun car, obviously very fast for its time.
You've qualified for the next round of knockout competition.
But I've contemplated it, and I was like, I'd have to obviously get something more normal to use daily. The Midwest snow is not going to be a joke, and it hardly is doable in my Camaro. It would not work in a C5 Corvette. I'm 100% sure of that, especially with the 1990s handling and reliability and stuff that car obviously has. So it wouldn't work. I've contemplated that maybe sometime in my life, but it just doesn't make sense for me because to really push that car and enjoy it fully, you have to really have the opportunity to have it as a second car or third car or whatever. And obviously at this point in my life, that's not really a thing. And if it ever was at that point in my life and I could get a second car, I would get a ZL1 or SS1LE for sure. Camaro ZL1 eventually someday, hopefully. But so it doesn't really make sense in that regard because I'm going to have multiple cars. I'm going to have different things. It just makes sense because it's a cheap option, but obviously if it's a cheap option, it's because you have an expensive truck or something else that makes your second car have to be cheap. I'm the other way around. I'd rather have the expensive second car, SS1LE, ZL1, whatever, Camaro brand, maybe even a Porsche if I hit the lotto. And then obviously on top of that have the more normal car be cheap. But I digress. Alright, about a half a lap to go here. Wayne's still closing in. And we will be done with event number, what is this, 6, 5? I don't remember how many we did in the first one. 3, so this must be 5. We'll do 6 though after this, because again, it's going to be open. It's not driving into the wall for no reason. It's going to be a shorter video. If we cut it here, it's only going to be about 20 minutes. So we'll do one more round of events. I think it's another knockout, so. Nice comfortable lead here, just under 2 seconds, no pressure. Don't really need a lift for these next handful of corners, so. Should be able to get back to the finish line without issue as long as I don't make any mistakes or have something weird happen. Only about a 2 second gap though, like I said, is not really enough to be comfortable, but it's plenty. I'm not gonna leave big errors here at this point. There we go, good cornering to take the long way, so we'll have a nice easy confidence lift up here with a 2.5 second lead. Just make sure we get the nose pointed. And across the line, a little bit quicker lap this race.
You've won the knockout!
And we have done that one, so check, check, check.
Nice going. You have just won the National Forest Knockout.
Yes, I did. I think my first race was actually the one that had the best lap, even though we started further back. Maybe it doesn't start scoring your lap time until you get across the line. That's why I had more momentum or something. Anyways, Jaguar XKR tournament, 3 races, 7 other XKRs. Good grief. Obviously, I've talked about before on this channel. We'll go with silver. Again, nice color. I love this car. I absolutely love this car. This was actually my first dream car, if you want to call it that. The C5 Corvette kind of came because of high stakes and because of this game that I played kind of at the same time in my childhood. But around the same time as that, and I was playing these when I was growing up, I was introduced to this car, and then went to a car show with my family, some members of my family, where I was introduced to some various different cars, some cool stuff actually. And among them at that particular event was this must have been when I was about 6, 7, so maybe 2003, 2004, 2005, somewhere in there. I saw the Jaguar XKR, the dark green one that was used in the James Bond movie. The one with the ice palace driven by the bad guy. I don't remember which James Bond movie exactly that was, but it was the one that came out in 2002 with Pierce Brosnan. And anyway, so this car is in there as the bad guy's car, kind of with the machine guns for that particular kind of, event. And I was watching this car kind of on the mini display screen they had, and realizing that was from the movie and all that stuff, and I realized it was this car, not just some fictional movie cars that I didn't recognize. I recognized it was the XKR. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And obviously it looked all badass, being bright green with the machine gun on the back, behind the front seats, and turret on top, and the spikes and missiles that came out of the front grille, and all these things that made it a James Bond worthy car, especially for a villain. And I just loved it. I fell in love with it, and I love the shape. I love the timeless design. I love the way that it's kind of a big cruiser. Love this car. I always love this car. Of course, in my adulthood now, I have realized many times that the reason that you can get one for less than 10 grand, usually a relatively low mile one, 80, 90,000 miles probably, which isn't that low mile, but for a car that again was designed in '96, was built through 2005, maybe 2006, so built it 10 or so years. The reason you can find them that cheap is because they are absolutely buckets of bolts, and they're not bad cars. They just have a lot of issues. Rust being among them. They have a lot of the older ones have bad gas problems and bad engine problems. That kind of come from electrical stuff and motor mounts and all these things that kind of happen that make these cars unreliable, especially the first half of the run of the models. All these things kind of add up, and I again love the car, but it's just not. It's not the kind of car you want as your dream car that you'd actually want to own. So even though I would love to give one of these cars a whirl, own it, maybe not forever, but say I own the Jaguar XKR or even an XK8, but not a supercharged version, it's not worth the financial strain on everything, even though you could get a garbage one and still make out okay with it. It's just not worth it. It's one of those cars that, again, kind of like in my mind the C5, even though C5 is a much better and more reliable car. It's kind of one of those cars where you observe it from afar, realize it's a dream car that you never want to meet. You never want to meet your heroes like that. So realize that, just kind of let it be what it is as a kind of a cult hero car, I guess, to me personally. Never have to worry about it too terribly much. We're going to set the lap record here. I don't know what that lap record was set with.
You've won the race!
So that's race 1 of 3 done in the XKR. But anyways, I love this car a lot. I really do. It's just not something I would ever choose to put in my life every day, having to deal with all the issues, and of course being a hand-built British 90s sports car, really. The technology is very, very old at this point. And again, not the most premier thing ever, so... love the car, love it from afar. I always cherish when I get to go back and play. Again, this car was in both Need for Speed High Stakes and this game. I think it might have been XK8 in High Stakes. Maybe it was the R, not sure. Obviously, in High Stakes, the C5 Z06 hadn't come out yet. It was just the C5 Coupe. In this game that we're playing here, it is the C5 Z06, so a little bit of a difference there. But This car definitely one that I would never want to actually own. And then the difference between this and the C5, of course, like I talked about a little bit earlier and in past videos, C5 is a car you can actually own. You don't need too much mechanical skill, which I have basically none of. You don't need too much mechanical skill to work on a C5, or at least keep the thing running relatively normally, and if you have a trusted mechanic that can do all the heavy lifting and some of the stuff that's required for maintenance in that car, like a harmonic balancer and some other things like that are known to go bad on the LS1 engine, which is normally bulletproof, but that's just kind of that generation thing and a Corvette thing. But never something that I'd want, again, to deal with on my own, for sure. Is this red car? Is this Wayne? He's flying. Hello. Hello. I'd like my HUD back, please. Please don't hit this wall. Thank you. That was not slick. Never something I'd want to deal with on my own, kind of, but not something that I guess there's only one lap, so we're going to be kind of screwed here unless we get a big catch-up one. Again, the C5 is kind of one of those cars where you look at it, you go, is that really worth everything in the modern day with what could be in good cars? And the answer is not always no, but it usually kind of is no. Now, again, with my love and affinity for the 6th-gen Camaro platform, kind of changes my mind on that a little bit. I don't think we're going to catch Wayne here unless he just gets catch up to hell. But, so we're going to finish second here and have to go into the last race needing a victory after I made some mistakes there, battling him. Kind of sucks, but I think we can win the 3rd race and be okay still. What was I saying? Yeah, just this car and the Corvette are kind of my two growing up reasonable these days dream cars. The other car from this game that I've talked about that really
You're the tournament leader.
The biggest piece of love ever is the Diablo 6.0, Lamborghini Diablo 6.0. Of course, this game came out in 2002. The Murcielago was brand new, the coolest thing from Lamborghini. The first Lamborghini in several years without, big wings on and stuff. Just a very sleek, beautiful, lovely design. And it's just one of those cars that, to me, is just kind of it looks good. It's fancy. Very, very fast, obviously. Exotic. The big doors that flip up. The car just looks beautiful. Some people don't like it as much as kind of the earlier Diablos and the pure Diablo style. I love it. I think it's perfect. I think it's just basically a discount Murcielago in terms of technology, but I think it's just a wonderful car. So it kind of comes down to, is it something you'd ever want to own? And the answer is probably yes. Again, that's all things aside with costs and all that stuff, because you need to be a millionaire or a multi-millionaire to own a Diablo 6.0 in this day and age. They're at the very least like $500,000 to buy one at this point. They've depreciated, I should say not depreciated, but just weren't worth as much. Kind of 2009, the recession, and maybe just very start of COVID, the recession that kind of came with that. So they could have been found for cheaper than what they are today, but certainly a $500,000 car for a like wrecked one or anything. And they hardly ever come up for sale. There are very few of them, only a few hundred worldwide even. So if I won the lottery, I would absolutely have a Diablo 6.0 if I had millions and millions of dollars. But in that case, I'd also have a Jaguar XKR, a nice one, and a C5 Z06, and definitely an SS1LE, a couple ZL1s. If I had $1 billion, I'd have all sorts of cool cars. Right now maybe not billions worth, but certainly like 100 million. Right? If I had, well, maybe not even that much. Let's call it 10 million. If you give me $10 million to spend on cars, I will have probably some cars that people would normally pick. I wouldn't have a bunch of McLarens and Ferraris and stuff. I'd have, cars that I like, cars that are drivers' cars. So, you know how it is. But I guess the point I'm trying to say is this car, along with the C5 and the Diablo 6.0 from this game, kind of one of those cars I grew up dreaming about. Wanted to have a shot at someday, and kind of in my adulthood, as you usually do, realize was better as a dream car than as an actual car. So that part of it's a little bit unfortunate, but I'm glad I can do it proud in this game. I'm glad we will grab a victory here.
You won the race!
So we're going to take this championship by, I guess, 2 points, maybe more. I guess Wayne didn't
well
finish
done.
second.
You have just won the Jaguar XKR
yeah, I
tournament.
finished third, so I kind of shot myself in the foot there.
Congratulations! You won the race!
Didn't really need to do what I did at Coastal Parklands there with that mistake, but that happens. That's racing. Let's see what this is. 2 laps. Yeah, what the hell? We're at it. Let's go. Let's do this blue silvery thing again. I like that color. Again, it's been less than half an hour, so let's get going. Let's give it a whirl. I'm excited. I'm hopeful that this car will do good. Again, this car is kind of that B tier When this game came out, I loved this car. But I guess it's a pretty long lap, but that's fine. We'll just call it after this one. I love this car. It's a cool car. Again, not something I would ever want to own, definitely. Early 2000s German BMWs that have a ton of issues if not properly maintained. Not that they're bad cars, just interesting cars. So, you know, a car that's better being observed from afar, and someone else's car that you can love if you see that at a car show or something. So, definitely cool, just not for me. For its time, you know, super fast, for like roughly 400 horsepower. In a big German saloon car, obviously a sedan here in the United States. It was a pretty rare thing back in 2000 when this car came out. I mean, this body style, the E39, older than that, but the M5 version of the 5 Series was a 2000 creation. Oh, we're going to get a little bit of air there, mess up our line slightly. Still okay. Nice gap here, about 5 seconds as we take a little shortcut there and pull away on this opening lap. This will be it for this episode, though. What else can we talk about? I guess I've talked about a lot here in this episode. It's been good because the races have been pretty straightforward, self-explanatory. So we've covered a lot of ground. We've covered 3 events. This is going to be the 4th, hopefully, if we're able to win this one. Nice, quick, easy thing, which is always good with me. Obviously, the race championships are much more straightforward as far as racing than the hot pursuit. There's no good or bad, just the hot pursuit. Obviously, there was a lot of factors with traffic and with cops and other things that went on, where this is just pure racing. Get to really enjoy the car, enjoy the scenery, get to battle more closely with the other cars instead of having to worry about helicopters and spike strips and cops interfering and all those type of things that we saw in the previous tree, which is fine. It's just a different way of playing the game. A little bit more low-key, a little bit more about pure driving and appreciating the race cars. I say race cars, they're street cars, but you're racing them. And kind of what they can do as far as performance. So, do like this car, like it a lot. Again, if I had unlimited money, you know, more than 1 lottery winning, if I had 2 lottery wins, I'd get one of these because it's going to be expensive even on 1 lottery win. So I'd have to put together a list of like all the cars all time that I'd ever want to own. It'd be a long list, obviously, but very few of those, maybe about 5 to 10 for sure would be, you know, I say blue chip is the word I'll use, but 100% like, yes, I want one, regardless of what else is going on, what else would happen, you know, what else would happen. This car would not be on that list. I love this car. I do love this car. It's great, but it would not be on the short list for sure, even money no objects. So, dude is going to follow this new shortcut. That's for Steve, obviously here. Big gap on everybody else. We get a little bit of a gap here on this shortcut, not too much, maybe 2-3 seconds. On Wayne again. What's up with Wayne? He's been flying these last couple of tournaments. It's like a Need for Speed, Porsche Unleashed, and High Stakes, I guess, as well, where the same guy always runs second. It's always the same guy that runs up front, with very, very few exceptions, whether it be, you know, kind of random AI programming or something else that happens that causes someone else to have a good race or a good tournament or whatever. Hardly ever happens. But, that isn't usually the case with this game, but Wayne in this episode today has been absolutely killing it. So yeah, while we're thinking of it, I mean, drop me some of your favorite cars down below. I mean, I would love to hear if you grew up with this game or any other kind of Need for Speed game, even if it's a generation like Carbon or Most Wanted. What are your favorite opening rocket? I can see that in the rush. I'd love to hear what your favorite cars are from this game. I know that a lot of people have a super strong affinity for Most Wanted. There you go. For Most Wanted and some of the cars from that game from 2005, a lot of people like the 2 Underground games. Some people even like games as recently as Pro Street. I don't know anybody that just bends over for the games of the last 10 years or so. I mean, there are a couple of good ones. Unbound is one of them. Is that one of them? Played that one some. There's another one that I played as well. Rivals is a good game, actually. But again, that's the only Need for Speed game I own. More recent than Pro Street. So the only one in the past, I don't know, 15 years or so. I have all the classics from, I guess, Need for Speed 2. I don't have Need for Speed 3, but I have High Stakes, Porsche Unleashed, this, 2SE, like I said. I've played Most Wanted, I've played both Undergrounds, had both of those. I think I had Most Wanted as well. I don't anymore. It's not my favorite game. I don't know why. Maybe because I grew up with these. Played Most Wanted, played Carbon, played Pro Street a lot. So there have been a lot of good classics that I truly love. But I'd love to hear what everybody else's thoughts are on not just on the games, but also on. There's one dude stuck still in the hairpins. What's going on over there? But also your favorite cars, whether they come from these games or other games or whatnot. I know a lot of people also have affinity for Gran Turismo games or Forza games that they grew up with, whether they were a PlayStation player or Xbox or whatever happens. Maybe some of you even like games like Project Gotham, which I've played a little bit, mostly because there's a Diablo 6.0 in that series. But yeah, so I'd love to hear what everybody's thoughts are as far as good cars, favorite cars, not so good cars, cars that you thought were good that were awful, cars that you hated as a kid that you love now, because they appreciate it, or whatever the case may be. Anyways, we're going to come through here, final couple corners. Missed the tree this time, big slide. Across the line, we are going to win.
First.
Number or whatever we're on at this point, I don't even know.
Well done.
Yes.
You have just won the BMW M5 Autumn Hill Climb.
We've won those because we've won them all for all the tournaments we've done. But yeah, we'll wrap this up now. I guess we've done enough. This is. Do we want to do it though? I mean, we've done 4, 5, 6, 7. How long have I been recording? That's the question here. Let's look at that. 31 minutes. Screw it. We're going to go right in. We're going to do number 8. Why not? I thought we were going to be done. We're going to go right for this. Why not? Yellow Opel Speedster. We need a lap of 3:30. You get 3 laps to do it. Usually, if you nail a lap, you can do it on the first one. They'll make you get a flying start. There's not that much of a difference in your time. So I'm hopeful that we can get it. 3:30 for Iron Outskirts isn't a crazy lap, but it's definitely not a slow lap. See what we can do. If we need the second lap, we'll take it. But I'd like to just get it done in 1. I think that's possible. They have to be pretty sharp, though. Obviously, no traffic, no other cars to deal with, so we're just going to have to be on it. Let's see what we can do. I guess I won't talk too terribly much in this one here. Oh, let's make sure you get the shortcut. We're going to start over because that was real slick of me. All right, try this again. Only wasted about 30 seconds, but that was not my slickest move. So yeah, just while I got the time, I guess we got about 3 minutes to talk more here before y'all get sick of me and click off of this. What cars would be on the short list? Well, those of you that know me, obviously the 6th Gen Camaro. I'd love an SS1LE today. Not realistic. I'd love a ZL1 someday. Also, not realistic today, but maybe someday. Maybe the SS1LE. I mean, I will own a 6th Gen Camaro, either an SS or a ZL1, if my life depends on. Oh, there is traffic today. Cool. I will triple mortgage my house for a ZL1. Honestly, it's something I need to have in my life at some point. But the short list would then be 991 GT3. I just think it's a beautiful car. Obviously, the sound is unbelievable. That's kind of really all that's mandatory. I mean, there are a lot of cars I like. The Ferrari F12 is a great sound, great car. McLaren 570S is a great kind of normal usable supercar. All the kind of flashy cars that people fall in love with. Love a 911 Turbo as well, just for the sheer acceleration. But again, it's really just the Camaro family, 6th Gen Camaro, SS1LE and or ZL1 that are kind of don't want to die without experiencing that in my life kind of cars. 991 GT3 is nearly that. I think the difference is 991 GT3 is unless I do come into a bunch of money in my life, whether it be, again, I don't really play the lottery, but whether it's the lottery or something else weird happens, or I don't know what would be the circumstance, but I become the CEO of Doritos or something, just making, just screw you money, just unbelievable amounts of money for no reason. I can't really see a scenario where I could justify spending, nearly $200,000 on a car. Now, think about that. That's not that much money. It's a lot of money, but it's not that much money. But then I think about, that could send my future kids to college. That could be a year or even 2 years, perhaps, earlier retirement. Oh, we're going to see that car. That's going to be huge. There you go. 550. I think about that kind of stuff, how much earlier that could be for retirement. Those type of things are like, okay, well, can you really justify spending $200,000 on a car when you could retire earlier and all those other things I just mentioned? So that's the kind of thought process where it's like, okay, do I really want to make that purchase? And in my life, obviously, at this point, it's easy to think about what that will be like then, but the answer is no. I mean, I love the car, I really do. It's finally a hitboxing DS on a traffic car. Do I really want to spend that kind of money and sacrifice the ability to send my kids to college one day or whatever, unless I make, again, a ton of money in my life somehow? No, I would never make that choice. I would never say, oh yeah, I have $200,000, it's my kids going to college, or it's this Porsche. No, especially since I just mentioned, if I have a ZL1, I'm going to be so much beyond happy. It's not even a question of, are you happy with your ZL1? Yes, that's the one car I can think of where I would never be like, man, I wish I had something new, I wish I had something different, faster, whatever. Because people get that. It's fatigue with whatever you have. We are going to beat this easily the first lap, which is great. I would never get that fatigue with the Camaro ZL1. I could drive that every day, put 1,000,000 miles on it, have the highest ZL1 mileage
Congratulations!
in the world. Similar
You
to
have
Ed
just
Mulligan
won
with his
the General
Lamborghini
Motors
Murcielago
Time Trial.
LB640s. He just loves those
You've
cars and drive
unlocked
them everywhere.
Island Outskirts
Or Doug
2.
Camaro with his Ford GT, or now his Carrera GT. So, anyways, I digress. We'll get back to the point at hand. Nice quick little addition there. So it's gonna be like a 35, 40-minute video, and we're gonna get done with 5 events. So great efficiency. We'll look at what's up next. 5-race tournament. That's probably gonna take a little while. Looks like some of those are point-to-point races though. So this is 5 point-to-point as well. So these might be individual videos. We'll have to wait and see how long this first one takes. But 5 races and 5 races obviously could take a little while. So we'll see how that plays out, but we'll worry about that next time. Make sure you drop a like and a sub down below. I don't want you to miss any of the action from Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, iRacing, NASCAR Dirt to Daytona, or anything else that I may post. So thanks for sticking around while I talked for 40 minutes about cars and life and all sorts of stuff. I hope it was entertaining, even though the races were kind of hit or miss in this one. But that's fine. We'll move on to the next one. So 9, 10 will be coming up next, either separately or certainly 9 will be in the next video. And if there's 10 in the video, you know how the first one went, and it didn't take too terribly long. So that's going to be it. Make sure you drop that like. Like I said, don't want you to miss any of the action from anything coming up. Be sure to check back in 2 weeks for episodes 9, or Race Championship 9 and 10. But until next time, bye.